Recently, I have cleared Cognizant round 2 Java interview. So in this video, I will be sharing the 9 questions that was asked to me in during the interview. So this video is someone who having the experience of 2 to 10 years of working experience. So I will be covering not only the questions, and I will be helping you how you can answer to your interviewer step by step, and I will be providing sample code for each and every questions. And for the theoretical questions, you will be getting like concept wise or the topic wise answer you can directly tell to your interviewer. So let's start with the video. So you can directly clone this GitHub repo and you can check later as well. Whatever I will be explaining in the GitHub repo, you can get those. And if you still not watch the round 1 Cognizant Java interview video, I will suggest you to go to the channel and watch this video. And also, if you are preparing for like any different companies, I have like separate video called Java interview crackers for the company wise. You can check this playlist where I have covered shared my interview experience in this playlist on company wise. So let's get started with our first questions. So this interview was like around 45 to 60 minutes long for me. So they start with asking about my roles and responsibility. So to explain about your roles and responsibility, you should not start with you have this much experience, you are doing this, those, that. So basically, you need to organize your roles and responsibility in such a way, like you should first explain about the project context, what is the project about that you are working on. Then main and major thing is that your ownership. So in your project, how you are contributing on the teams, or how you are improving your projects, like mainly your contributions. So third point is that on doing the changes and how this helping the real customer, or what are the key things that you have achieved through your contributions. So you can design your answer in these three structures. Basically, they want to check like how depth uh, your knowledge is, not like what it is, like how you are using and why. Mainly they are focusing on why it is required. You know the every concept whatever I will be discussing, I'm 100% sure you will be understanding the basic idea. But as an experienced developer, so you should be telling why it is required as compared to other, because in every concept it has some other alternative as well. So you can specify like this. And so, and throughout the interviewer, they only focus on this microservices based thing, JWT authentication based thing, the service to service communications. Then they ask about Kubernetes, Dockers. So let's move to our next questions. Next question is on like authentication and the authorizations. So they asked me like how are you authorizing your API. So you should not just say like JWT and stop. So that is very worthless. So you should walk through the full flow, like from the generating the token, header, filter, validation, security context. If you have the pen and paper, you can draw the flow. So let me explain you so that you can take this reference as well. So you can first tell like for the authentication on authorization, you will be having some API logging API with the username password. You will be logging, and on returns it will be giving you one token which is called the JWT tokens. So and if you want to access any services or the any APIs, you need to provide this token on the authorization part. So then after hitting this API, it will goes through JWT auth filter, then extract the token from the header, then verify the token whether it is expired or not, verify the signature, then set the security context. Then the request reaches to the controller, and the controller gives give back the response to us. So if you have time, I will suggest you to check this code as well. So we have this enable security configuration for the security config. First step is that where we are permitting like logging or API, any API that start with API slash auth. then any other request which is here, this order request, it will be authenticated. Then you can check this second step, JWT filter, like for the every request it is like stateless, so it will be validating every token. So here the validation is going on. So here you will abstracting the tokens from the header. So then in the JWT services, so it will be, it is setting this expire and the issue date here when where this token is being generated. And the key points you should like understand, like header, payload, signature, stateless, and they may ask these follow-up questions. You can better you can go through those as well. So let's move with the next questions. Next question is that they ask me what are the different ways the microservices communicate each other. So on that they ask me about the Feign client. Then in the next question they ask me about the web client. So let's understand what is the Feign client and why it is required. Before going ahead with the answers, I will request you please subscribe to the channel and like the video, and in the comment section like I will request you to mention your year of experience. And so let's move ahead with the video. So try to explain like what is Feign client and why it is better than the REST templates. It is for the cleaner, declarative, and integrates with Eureka for the service recovery. Then the show the code. So to get understandings, like you can say like if we have the two service, order service and the user services. User service is on different it's on different services, and we are using microservice based architectures. So if you from the order service, if you want to fetch the user service, so we can use this Feign client, where in the Feign client we can pass the user service. So this Feign client calls the user call the service name registered in the Eureka. This is exact the service name which should be registered in the Eureka, not any hard coded URL. So for that we need to have the dependency, and we enable the Feign client. And if you see here, we just need to have this interface. Here we having this interface, and the Spring will automatically generate the implementation. We don't need to do our implementation from our service. If you see, we have just initialized the object using the constructor base, and from the service we are just calling this get by user ID method. This Feign make the HTTP call. So you can better go through this, and I have dedicated video for that, using how to use Feign client in the better way, how to use web client in the better way, how to use REST templates for the service to service communications. I will put those link in the descriptions, and you can go through those videos as well for like better understanding, because I have explained sample project on that as well. So next is that they will ask about the web client. So explain mono versus Flux. You need to cover the key concept like non-blocking threads does not wait. So like that. So mono let's say represent like 0 or 1 items. We'll come to that within a few seconds. In the I have the sample code also. I will explain to you. And the Flux it represents like 0 to n items. To have like one output or the empty field, then we can need to have mono as a return type. And if we have multiple values or the m2, we can have the Flux as a return type. So why reactive and the non-blocking? Because this web client is a reactive and a non-blocking. So if you see the traditional approach, so one thread when it's called the calls the HTTP, it's wait until it get a response, and then it continue. Here the thread is idle during the waiting time, and it wastes the resources under the high traffic time. So in the reactive, like a thread calls the HTTP methods, and then it registers the callback and goes free. Now it register the callback and it goes free, and then handle the other request. Here the thread free while waiting. They handle the thousands of requests with a few threads. So this is the dependency we can use. Here we can enable like a web client, and this is the code. Here if you see now, here we are adding the Eureka URL. You can see the difference between Feign client and the web client here also, how we are setting up the service URL. And here we are returning like mono users, and here we are calling these methods, and we are retrieving. So here the calling the method is a little bit different. If you see body to Flux, let's say dislike to Flux, the Flux user. You can go through this in details as well. Let me go through the next questions. Next question is like coding questions. It depend upon the interviewer, like they can ask the DSA question on the start of your interview as well, so or anytime they can ask. I'm that it's depending on the interviewer. So they will ask like find duplicate element in a list. So they will be giving you on the list, and from the list you need to get the duplicate element. Seems like it is easier, right? Yes, of course the easier, but there is some tricky questions they can ask, like depending upon how you are approaching the problem as well. So let me show you that those kind of tricky questions as well. So traditionally you will be using like hash set, and from that hash set what you will be doing, in the one set you will be adding the value, and the next set you will be taking. Then if value is not present again in the previous set, then we will be taking as a duplicate. So if you see this approach, they can ask you like time complexity and the space complexity. If you know like hash set, and this will overall giving the order of n as in time complexity and the space complexity, because we are having this for loop and each loop we are accessing the one element. Then they can ask you like the second approach is if you use the frequency from the collections. So this is the one of the worst approach, because it will be giving you order of n complexity. And this best approach is that using this stream and grouping by methods. So if you want to see this code, you can just go through this questions 5, and here you can check this code. So first approach is the hash set, which is order of n. Second approach is the frequency at order of n square. Third approach is the grouping by. So you should go through this particular sections in your interview and explain them, like we are listing over the stream, and we are using collectors grouping by, and we are converting it here, and we are using the counting. So it will be storing the sorry character here is the integer and the corresponding length. Then we can use this then frequency, then we can filter, and we can check if values is greater than 1, then we will be returning this particular values as a duplicate element. So if you check this in the last sections of this, we have this complexity wise table. You can go through those as well. Next question they asked me about, it's a little bit we can say little bit hard questions, because they asked me like how to create and thread in a singleton class. So here they basically combine the singleton design pattern as well as the thread concept creations. So you can simply start with the first discussion. You can explain the singleton, what it is singleton means, and you can then start with the like thread creation into the singleton. You can talk about double check locking or the enum concept. So let me go through this sample code snippet for your better understanding. You can check this code snippet from here as well, and there is key point is there to cover. So let me show you in the code. So in the question 6 we have the code. So we have one singleton class called, like we have created the background task singleton. We need to create, we have seen it this lot of time. We need to create this private, and for the double checking we need to first check the instance is null or what. Then we need to synchronize the class level. Then we need to again check it double equal to null. Then again we need to we will create the instance. So during this time, like only one thread will be created. If the two thread at the same time trying to access, then only one thread will be created. Then here is the start and create a background thread for this inside the single. So background threads, it sometimes it work as in like for the logging things and the other kind of things. So you can check this particular code sections. So here if you see here the new thread it is creating, and background thread here it is defined private thread background thread. So you can go through this particular section. And also most important thing is that you should explain the enum is the simplest and the thread safety options. It's in singleton. So let's move with the next questions. Next question is on the caching. So multiple exception in the single case. So they will ask you, like for example, we are having the two exception, you want to handle this in a single cache block. So previously what we do, like we need to do this cache IO exception, cache SQL exception, both are calling the same methods, so it is a duplicate thing. And in after the Java 7, we are using pipe operator, and we are calling this particular method that is called the multiple exception handling in the single cache block. So this is the pipe operator, the major thing. So I have also explained them, so they are happy with my answers as well. And you can try to go through this code snippet, this question 7 is there, to understand, like they did not ask me this, but they can ask like, so if you want to catch this IO exception and the file not found exception in a single cache block, will it compile or not? So this will not be compiled, because those are the like child parent relationship, so those kind of things will not work. So correct, we can use the IO exception and the arithmetic exception. Next question, like they asked me about Kubernetes, and next on the Kubernetes pods deployment, those kind of things. So before going ahead with explaining this, like if you want me to cover like Kubernetes related interview questions that was asked to the Java developer, or Docker related interview questions which was asked to specifically to the Java developer, I can cover those questions as well. You can mention those in the comment section, and then I will be making the video in the next page. So they asked me like about the Kubernetes, and whether I am using the Kubernetes, or do I have the idea on a pods deployment service or not. So I say like I am using like I'm doing the Git push, and I am using the CI/CD pipelines, and I have the idea as well. So they didn't go much on that. I have explained what does pod means, what is deployment means, what the service means, and uh, how to create like deployment YML file, how to create the service YML file. So you can also answer like that. And but if you don't have the knowledge on that, so better to be honest with them. You can just tell like you are using the Git and CI/CD pipelines, and but you know like where the Docker images are being registered, and you know how to check this pods log, and but this all this management related, like cluster management related, is being done by our DevOps team. But so next question is that they ask like how you are scaling your applications. So are you doing some manual scaling, or there is some say automatic scaling are being done. So before explaining them, so if you are totally perfect with that, you can you have the knowledge of pods and this deployment cycle, DevOps, little bit on the DevOps, so you can explain in your own way, they will happy with that. So I said like I can increase the replica, and or in the like deployment YML file, I can assign the value to the replica. So this is the manual scaling. But automatic scaling is that so we have like separate kind of YML file, where if any kind of threshold is breached, so if the CPU usage is greater than 70%, then it will be a replicate to R2. So if you see, so for example, normally we have two pods running, and when the CPU load is greater than 70%, then again another two more added, so it is scale up to 2. And again if it is reaches to 70%, then again 2 added to, and if it is less than 70%, then it is decrease the load, and the pod price, sorry, not pod counts got decreases, and it will back to the previous code. So like that you can answer to the interviewer. So that's all with the video. And the pro tips you should consider, like you should go to the microservices, Spring Boot security, and Kubernetes, and some reactive programming, like service to service communications. And like it is suggested to watch the round 1 video. So let me know if you want like around 3 videos as well, or regarding the offer discussion. So I'll be create the separate video for that, but you need to comment on the comment section. So thank you for watching the video, and all the best for your interview.